What do you mean, what are we talking? Well, we can talk about whatever you want to on this.
I know, but you usually give me a little intro. I just can't remember. Which one are we going to do?
Let's talk first about this notion of is this movement, HOP or whatever we're calling it again, is it sticking because it's actually sticking, or is it still depending upon me or depending upon you, or right? This whole notion of is it embedded or is it still? Should we talk about that?
Okay.
Good. No, you look great. You look great. Don't worry about it. You know, it's interesting because, of course, I'm filming all this, which makes it more interesting.
Oh, that's not interesting.
Yes, it is to me. And so, normally we're always figuring out some way to get about the same height because I'm 6'5" and you're almost 4'11".
That's not nice.
Oh no, it's math.
5 foot.
5 foot. Okay, but see how we fix it.
With good shoes.
The way we fix it this time is we just kind of sit down in some chairs here, right? So. We'll figure out how to keep ourselves at the same level here. Yeah, that's nice. So recently you and I were talking about the fact that if we stepped away from this, if we're at a site and we're the advocate for this way of thinking, and we stepped away, would it keep going, or is it really, really dependent upon us? Which is fine, because any kind of movement is dependent upon a person or people. That's just the way it happens. But at some point, we want it to become the new social norm. What are your thoughts?
So I think champions are they're essential for getting these movements going. But just like you said, we want somebody or our organizations to kind of, accept it, bring it into the social norm, and move it forward. And depending on where you are in that growth process and in your journey, it can be really easy to slide back and go to what's comfortable. And so myself, I've just recently had to be out of work for several weeks, and when I came back, I did feel like there was a slight shift backwards, where some of the principles that we put in place and tools that we were using kind of went by the wayside, and it's been a little bit frustrating to just deal with that, and then to also game plan for how is it that we move forward and gain back some momentum. It seems like it's been happening recently, but I definitely want to put things in place in my organization so that if something happened to me tomorrow,
right,
that I'm not the lone person who's leading this movement, and that I've given my champions the tools that they need to keep moving in a positive direction.
So what kind of ideas do you have? Because I think this is probably something it's an important message for a lot of places, because I say this all the time, and Todd and I have talked about this too. Although it's just more and more people accepting this way of thinking, it is not even close to being the new social norm. It's so easy for this to slip back to what it was, because like you said, it's comfortable, we know it, it's familiar, but it's super dependent upon people right now, which it probably will be for quite a while, maybe always to some degree. But what sort of ideas are you having that might be able to help other people too, that will make it stick?
One of the primary tools that we use is that we don't necessarily do investigations anymore. We do learning events to learn about different issues that we have and to improve processes. But all of our databases where we accumulate the information gathered from those investigations is still using an investigation format instead of using a learning team format. So now the thought is to go back into that database and recreate some of those fields and forms so that it more aligns with the learning team concepts rather than the traditional 5Y investigation methods.
Or mind on task, line of fire, right? All that, just kind of replace those with some of the new. So actually take the software. Include
options that are going to have the new terminology that we're using with our learning movement to move forward. So it's an option for them to choose. So it's not necessarily easy for them to slip back into the old investigative.
Yeah, failed to pay attention, didn't follow procedure, right? Those are, so let's move away from those and give them more language like complex operations or error traps or control panel confusing control panel or broken information or
exactly, and then more text boxes where they could just write in what it is that they learned in in that process instead of having to select from a drop down. Even something as simple as that, give me a free form space,
Right.
I think is helpful for people on this journey.
Cool. So what's some other ideas you have that might help make this stick a little bit?
So for us, the HSE specialists and champions in our facilities are the ones that are leading as facilitators. So it's easy for them to kind of slip back without operations support. So really looking for operations champions.
Nice.
that they can partner with to move forward, and that can help them, especially because HSE people aren't always included in all conversations.
Right.
And so if you've got operational champions who can then in the conversation say, hey, have we thought about this kind of from a learning perspective, that may be a little bit easier. So you're not just tackling it from an HSE perspective, but
Right.
also you've got operations people who are championing these principles. I think that's the next way to go.
And then
So
when
that
you-
was really
Yeah. It's like Woody the Woodpecker, right, in the cartoon thing. Good. Yeah, and so I think that's really smart, because when operations starts to ask for this, then it becomes easier for a hop advocate or a champion or a coach or whatever to go in and help them with it. And it doesn't feel like they're pushing it. It's actually being pulled. It's being drawn from operations. And I thought it was really cool. We got a chance to spend some time with Shahika this morning, and it's just amazing, right? And one of the things that she said they did is that it was helpful is also look for some things to take off of operations plate. That may be an EHS thing that we can control. So like their low level stuff, they no longer say you have to do an investigation on all those. If it's needed, you can, but you don't have to. So it freed up time to spend more. It freed up some time to spend it on something more meaningful, like doing good operational learning around a significant near miss,
Right.
or a quality upset or whatever.
And they were requiring they required the traditional investigation, and they weren't able to substitute it with the operational learning. And so just saying that you can choose to do operational learning instead of a traditional investigation, that means they're not doing double work.
Right. So you give them an option, and they built that into the software tool as well, right? Cool. Well, good. I appreciate it. I think those are some good ideas that will help. We'll check in again, like we always do, right? And see how those things are going. But the goal is for a movement to happen, you have to have champions, you have to have advocates, people that believe it. But then you also have to deliberately and in a meaningful way start to build this into the way we do business and the way we do things. And I think these are some real ways to go do that, right?
Definitely.
So, and also special thanks, we have to give special thanks, a shout out to Andrea Baker and to Shahika for just spending some great time with us, talking through some of these ideas, because it's through collaboration we're going to get better anyway, right? Thanks. Hey, let's do another one of these soon, shall we?
Okay.
Cool.